ततो जयामुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्या उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Today I would like to take a verse from chapter 8, Canto 1. So 1.8.25 shloka. The prayers by Queen Kunti. विपदः सन्तु ताः शश्वत् तत्र तत्र जगद्गुरो भवतो दर्शनं यत् स्यात् अपुनर्भव दर्शनम्. Vipadah, calamities. Santu, let there be. Taha, all. Shashvat, again and again. Tatra, there. Tatra, and there. Jagat Guru, O Lord of the universe. Bhavatah, your. Darshanam, meeting. Yat, that which. Syat, is. Apunaha, not again. Bhava Darshanam, seeing repetition of birth and death. Translation: I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again, so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Generally, the distressed, the needy, the intelligent, and the inquisitive who have performed some pious activities, worship or begin to worship the Lord. Others who are thriving on the misdeeds only, regardless of status, cannot approach the Supreme due to being misled by the illusory energy. Therefore, for a pious person, if there is some calamity, there is no other alternative than to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Constantly remembering the lotus feet of the Lord means preparing for liberation from birth and death. Therefore, even though there are so-called calamities, they are welcome because they give us an opportunity to remember the Lord, which means liberation. One who has taken the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are accepted as the most suitable boat for crossing the ocean of nescience, can achieve liberation as easily as one leaps over the holes made by the hoofs of a calf. Such persons are meant to reside in the abode of the Lord, and they have nothing to do with the place where there is danger in every step. This material world is certified by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita as a dangerous place full of calamities. Less intelligent persons prepare plans to adjust to those calamities without knowing that the nature of this place is itself full of calamities. They have no information of the abode of the Lord, which is full of bliss and without trace of calamity. The duty of the sane person, therefore, is to be undisturbed by the worldly calamities, which are sure to happen in all circumstances. Suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual realization because that is the mission of human life. The spirit soul is transcendental to all material calamities. Therefore, the so-called calamities are called false. A man may see a tiger swallowing him in a dream, and he may cry for this calamity. Actually, there is no tiger, there is no suffering. It is simply a case of dreams. In the same way, all the calamities of life are said to be dreams. If someone is lucky enough to get in contact with the Lord by devotional service, it is all gain. Contact with the Lord by any one of the 9 devotional services is always a forward step on the path going back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. So in this verse, as we see that we can feel the depth of the devotion of Kunti Maharani and Pandavas. Actually, when before this war, when the kingdom of Hastinapura was ruled by the Dhritarashtra, and there was growing adharma which was created by Duryodhan and Shakuni, Krishna wanted a leader who is righteous. So a leader actually should be a king or a ruler, should be a devotee, should have some spiritual inclination, should be selfless and righteous. Only such a person can actually sit on the throne. Krishna orchestrated the war, the entire Mahabharata, because he wanted the righteous person to sit on the throne of Hastinapura. And he was very happy when Yudhishthir Maharaj won the war and he became the king. Krishna also made Yudhishthir Maharaj perform 3 Ashwamedh Yajnas. Under the guidance of Lord Krishna, Yudhishthir Maharaj performed those yajnas. And then, just because Krishna wanted Yudhishthir Maharaj to establish his supremacy, that is the reason why he was instructed to do these Ashwamedh Yajnas. When we go through the life of Pandavas, we see that at every step, they are totally surrendered to the instructions, even at the lotus feet of Krishna. Whatever Krishna had so much confidence in them that when he went as a Shanti Duta to make the compromise between the two parties, there was a point when Duryodhana was not wanting to give even a little part of his kingdom. So Krishna actually had so much confidence in Pandavas that he said that he is much sure that Pandavas will accept whatever Krishna says. If Krishna says yes, then that will be okay for Pandavas also, because they were totally surrendered souls. Krishna asked for 5 villages for the 5 Pandavas, but Duryodhana was said that he is not even ready to give a land which would be enough to even a tip of the needle. That much land also he was not ready to give. So there was no question of compromise. And then the war happened. During the war, that we see that after the war is over, Krishna was he spent some time with Pandavas and he wanted to guide them in administrative matters, in the warfare matters, in the spiritual life also. After that, he was leaving for Dwarka. As he sat on the chariot and he was about to start, Mother Uttara came running. She said that as she perceived a fiery arrow coming towards her, and she immediately took shelter of Lord. Now, in this situation, also we see that she had the mighty warriors, father-in-laws like Krishna, Arjuna, Yudhishthir Maharaj, Bhima was there, Nakul, Sahadev, and but she chose to take shelter of Lord Krishna, because that is the nature of a devotee. A pure devotee will always take a shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in all the situation, in all the material calamities. As she saw that she was not aware what is that fiery arrow which is coming towards her, but Krishna realized it, that Ashwathama, he was a son of Dronacharya, and son of Dronacharya and Kripi, a sister of Kripacharya. So he, from his early childhood, he used to associate with Duryodhana, and so he was a very good friend of Duryodhana. So even in the battlefield, he was on the side of Duryodhana. So at the end, when Pandavas won the war, he was when Pandavas won the war, he was not in a he was still envious. He was still angry with Pandavas. So he went in the camp of Pandavas and he killed the sleeping sons, 5 sons of Draupadi in their sleep only. So killing somebody in their sleep, and that too children is a big adharma. And that too after the conclusion of the war, when the war is already concluded, the victory is already declared. While Ashwathama, after doing this act, he ran away. Arjuna started chasing him, and then he caught hold of him and brought him in front of Draupadi and Pandavas and Lord Krishna. But to everybody's surprise, Draupadi forgave him before even he could ask for forgiveness, because he was not at all repenting on what he did, Ashwathama. But Draupadi forgave him with a big heart. This is a quality of a devotee. Devotees are always compassionate. And Draupadi was a dharmaparayan Stree. In all the situations, no matter what miseries that she suffered in her life, but she never gave up dharma. She always followed dharma and she always took shelter of the Lord. And she forgave Ashwathama. So everybody was surprised, but Draupadi gave 3 reasons. Before this, I would also like to mention one incident wherein, when after the disrobing and Krishna protected Draupadi in the assembly hall, Dhritarashtra was fearful. So he gave her 2 benedictions. He was fearful that she may curse or the consequences would be bad. So he gave her 2 benedictions to ask for. During that time, she was very much miserable. Still, when Dhritarashtra asked her for the benediction, first thing that she said is, release my husbands from your dasatva. Second thing he said, return their weapons to them. And then Dhritarashtra said, okay, so you ask for the 3rd benediction, because he just wanted to, he was scared that now his sons have done such a sinful activity that they will be punished. So he just wanted to cover them. He wanted to pacify Pandavas and Draupadi. So he said, you ask for the 3rd benediction. But Draupadi, even in that miserable situation, she was following her dharma. She said, according to dharma, a Chhatrani cannot ask for more than 2 benedictions. So she said, she stopped at that. Even in this situation, we see that she gave 3 reasons why she forgave Ashwathama. First reason, that he is a Brahmana. Then second reason she gave, that he is the son of our Guru. And in this statement of her also, we see that whatever that is her husband, she is considering that as her own. Like she said, our Guru. So the third reason is, she didn't want the mother of Ashwathama, that is the wife of Dronacharya, to go through the same pain which she herself has experienced. That is the nature of a devotee. A devotee will never want that someone else should suffer the pain or the misery. So she had just lost her 5 sons and she knows what the pain is. So practically, she actually went through it. So she was very much miserable. But she didn't want mother of Ashwathama to undergo that same misery. So she said, that is the reason why I don't want him to be killed or to be punished. So third reason is, she said that already at least I have my husband, she said, but in case of mother of Ashwathama, like according to the Shastras, when a husband is no more, when a husband dies, the wife is still not considered as a widow if she has a son, because the son is the representative of her husband. So because of that reason, she is always under the protection of her son. So Draupadi even thought that extreme, that at least I have my husbands, but in case of Krupi, if she is left with no son, then whose shelter she will take? Who will protect her in future? So considering that, Draupadi forgave Ashwathama. So After getting released, now Ashwathama was like very arrogant. He was a Brahmana namesake, but actually he had associated whole of his life with Shakuni and Duryodhana. So he still had that grudge in his heart. And after killing five Pandavas, after Draupadi forgiving him, also he was not satisfied. He went on ahead and he released a Brahmastra to kill the last descendant of Pandu family, Pandavas. That is the child of Abhimanyu, who was in the womb of Mother Uttara. So, as she saw this fiery arrow coming towards her, she ran to Lord Krishna and she took his shelter. So, in this, we see that the Lord immediately protected the child of Mother Uttara. And then the child was named as Parikshit because he had already gone through like a big test of his life in the womb itself, and he was protected by the Lord Krishna. So herein we see what actually the Mother Uttara said. O Lord, O Lord of Lords, Lord of the universe, you are the greatest mystics. Please protect me, and for there no one else who can save me from the clutches of death in this world of duality. So this is how she took shelter of the Lord. In one of the lecture of Radhanath Maharaj, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, he made a very important statement. He said that no one can escape from death unless they take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, the devotional service. We will also see that as we are more attached to Krishna and as we are less attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, and as we are more attached to the materialistic this, the more we are attached to the material world, we'll find that the detachment or the death becomes more painful. But as we are attached more to Krishna and the devotees of the Lord, then our death is not our death is like a welcome for the Krishna in our or in our life. So he this actually when I was this is my personal I used to have this question when I was in first standard, and my no, not first, second or third standard, when my grandmother expired. And I used to ask everybody in the house, like so now she is no more. So uh, how do you feel when you actually die, and what happens after death? So I used to ask everyone, and everybody used to say, what is this, what nonsense question you are asking, like, and everybody. And till the time when I went in the school, I used to try reading some books in the library to find what is the answer, what actually happens after that. But I got this answer when I came to ISKCON, and when I actually started hearing classes and Srila Prabhupada's purports, that gave me an answer. That in uh, one of the lectures, I have also heard that the death is as painful as 100 scorpions biting a person at a time. It's that painful. But when a devotee is like, but that pain is there when you have a material attachment. But as the mm, uh, devotee is surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord, the attachment is so much that uh, means this is what I feel, that maybe the pain is there, but we are so much in Krishna that the devotee is so much is in the thinking about Krishna, that that pain becomes insignificant. Even in the life of Pandavas, we see that Kunti Kunti Maharani, when Maharaj Pandu left his body and Madri, she went Sati with him. She going as a sati was a, compared to the other option, it was a bit easy way out compared to the difficult task of raising 5 children. And she was instructed by the sages to go to Hastinapur. She was initially she wanted to stay in the jungle and live a peaceful life, but later she was advised to go to the Hastinapura because the sages could actually foresee what is going to happen, how adharma, the in the kingdom of Dhritarashtra, how the adharma will grow. And she raised her children. She is a very good example of a mother and a very good best parenting that she has done, because all the 5 Pandavas were of 5 different types. They were not like similar. So handling them was a very handling them and dotaling their capacities in a proper way. She did a very good role. She played a very important role as a mother in their life. Later, when we also see that after the Yudhishthir Maharaj, he was declared as a Yuvraj. They were Shakuni and Duryodhana attempted to burn them alive. In that situation also, like, they took the shelter of the Lord. They accepted whatever that has happened. Later they were given, in this we see that how flexible they were, how capable they were. After they escaped that part, later they were given the Khandav Prastha, a land which was totally barren. There was no they were not given any funds. The land was totally barren. There was no water, nothing. And they had to make a city out of it. They had to make their own kingdom out of it, wherein people could live. So again, they made it possible under the guidance of Lord Krishna. So here also we see, like, they were really samarthyavan. There is no means, I don't know the English word for it, but then it's a samarthya, is the basically the capacity. It's not like they the unko kuch backup tha and then they did something. But like, now if we see, if a rich person's son is told, you just leave this entire you create say, like a big rich businessman like Ambani's son, if he's told that you leave whatever property that you have from your father's this, and you start from your own and build up to that level, the way at what level your father is. I hope anybody, I doubt whether anybody will come forward for that particular option, or if anything happens, such a thing happens in anybody's life, will they able to stand or take that stress? But Pandavas, when they actually made Indraprastha from that Khandav Prastha which was given to them, after that, in the gambling match, they lose everything. And after they lose everything, they have to go for a in the forest. They had to suffer through that banvas and 1 year of incognito. So basically, it must be so painful. Now we see that if somebody who is a, say, a famous surgeon or a famous cardiologist or a famous engineer or the businessman, if they are told that you have to live like a or change your profession, like for example, like, I am a doctor. If I'm told that tomorrow you have to go and help a canteen person to or chopping vegetables or doing some of that work, or you have to help those other safai karmachari for doing some cleanliness work or something like that, then I may get a shock. I mean, or any other person, if he is on a very high position, and if he is told to do some menial work, then that person may lose, first of all, the emotional and the mental balance. But Pandavas, we see here that how flexible they were, even mentally. They were strong physically, but mentally also they were so strong. Even Draupadi, she was a Samrakni. She was a Yagyaseni. She was born out of fire. She was Divya. Her birth was really, it was divine. It was not ordinary. But still, she had to become a menial servant of the maid servant of the queen of Virata. So here we see how flexible they were. And another thing that we see, like, it is very difficult to hide our identity because of the false ego that is there inside us. If somebody, now, even if we are, uh, forget about the people who know us, but even if we go in some crowd and if somebody treats us or mistreats us, or if I am a doctor and if somebody just gives a dhadu in my hand and tells you sweep, then means in the public or wherever, I may feel, Arey, what is this? I am a doctor. How can they? And immediately I may react or anything may happen. But such a great warriors like Arjuna, Draupadi, she's a big Samragni. Yudhishthir Maharaj, he's a Samrat. He has established already his supremacy over everybody. So in that situation, if somebody has to hide their identity and stay for 1 year, it is so difficult. This shows that how much was the self-control in the Pandavas, how much was the self-control. Then in the throughout the war also we see how they were always following the instructions of the Lord. And there was one incident wherein Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I have time. Can anyone tell me or how much?
Okay, Mataji. Continue, Mataji.
Okay. So in the war, when Karna released a Narayan Astra, and it may, like, Bhima, he was uh, everybody now, the for every weapon, for every astra, there was a counteracting astra or for that particular weapon. Like Brahmastra could be counteracted by only Brahmastra. The similar way, there was the only counteraction in case of Narayan Astra. Narayan Astra, once released, will definitely kill a person who comes on his way, on the way of that astra or the arrow. But the only way of counteracting that astra was the not by putting a dandavat, like total surrender. Totally, one has to lie flat on the ground and pay obeisances to the that astra. Then that astra, once it passes, it will not do any harm to anybody. So Lord Krishna instructed all the armies and everybody, all Maharatris, to put Sashtang Dandavat when that arrow was of Narayana Astra was passing. But Bhima was not ready to surrender. He was not ready to bend. So Arjuna and Krishna, they ran with a great speed to, and they put him flat on the ground. And by that time, the Narayana Astra crossed. So this is how we see, like, how the Krishna always was support. It was like he was not supportive to them or he was not favorable, but because they were surrendered to the Lord. And they, even in case of even Kunti Maharani, if we see that her life was totally has gone through lot of pains and troubles, like she always suffered right from her early childhood when she was adopted by her uncle, and later on when she had to uh, leave her son, first child Karna. Then also, and keeping that, she was very much she was a truthful lady, and for a truthful lady it is very difficult to hide that secret, that that the she already had a first son, but she, it was very difficult for her to live with that truth. Means sometimes that it is said, no, like that kadwa such she had to live with, and that too not disclosing it. So sometimes when we tell some secret or something to someone, if we confess, we feel better, but she had to keep it to herself for the higher purpose. So later we see that how Bhima was poisoned. Then the that Lakshagraha, when it was the Duryodhana and Shakuni had conspired to burn them alive, Pandavas. Draupadi was disrobed. Like even after that, throughout the war, Lord Krishna actually protected them. And after the end of the war, also Kunti decided to serve Gandhari and Dhritarashtra. So she basically, it was not that her life was full of bliss or so-called material comforts, but she always went through. And another very important thing is, when the Pandavas were sent for the exile, she had to stay in the kingdom of Dhritarashtra with them. So and that time, nowadays at least, we have some communication, some this is there, like immediately we come to know whether where even person who is sitting in US, what they are doing. But during those times, when there was no communication, no other source of getting any information, but still Kunti had to live for so many years without having any knowledge, or without, like, she was unaware of what Pandavas are going through in that particular period. So it was so difficult for her. But still, she is considered as the success potency of the Lord, the Yasha Shakti of the Lord. This is why anybody will say why, because she has always suffered. But her success potency is that immediately she takes shelter of the Lord. That is her success. And she also prays to Lord that these calamities which are coming, she's very grateful to the Lord for giving the calamities in her life, because every time she says, when there are calamities, Lord, you are with us and we are taking the shelter of your lotus feet. So from this verse and from this entire chapter, we can actually learn how practically, like, Pandavas and Queen Kunti have taken a shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So anybody has any comments or any questions?
Hare Krishna, nice lecture, Mataji. You have narrated the entire story of Mahabharat very nicely, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Uttara.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please forgive the mistake I have done. I was really nervous.
We are traveling, but still we could hear very nicely explained. Good work, yeah. Very nice. Yeah.
So nice, Mataji.
Thank you.
I wonder if I can give such a lecture in my life.
No.
So nice. You prepared your very well without the papers. You have been speaking. So we would like to hear more of such lectures in future.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Your blessings.
हरे कृष्ण उद्धरा.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी. दंडवत प्रणाम.
क्लास बरी झाली. दंडवत प्रणाम. क्लास बरी झाली. आता तुम्ही माताजी असा आमच्या बरोबर. हरी बोल. हरे कृष्ण.